Believe it or not, this is part 99 of the FZR restoration. And I always think, where did the time go? Over 3 months we've been working on this already, but we're making really good progress. And I think the main thing of all is, especially when you get to the end of a project, don't be tempted to rush it. The patience is paying off, and we are coming right to the end of having a really, I think, a spectacular paint job on this bike. And what could really be more fun when it's 20 degrees outside than coming out to your cold garage and changing battery chargers and drinking hot coffee. Now the only downside today is, of course, Karen found out. Our grandson's coming over early. He hasn't been feeling good. He's going to be here for the bulk of the day, so I may get a very short day today. But no matter what happens, in my shop, it seems like we always get something done. It's only a question of what. So let me just make a plan based on what time's going to be available, and, well, the weather doesn't even matter anymore. We're done with the painting. Now, because we were very lucky, we sequenced up everything before the really cold weather got here. And now we've taken advantage of it. We have a lot of basically indoor work to do. But I always count that every day I get to work in my shop or work in a garage or go for a ride. It's just good to be alive. And there's basically no chance at all it's going to warm up where riding is much of an option. Unless we have some kind of miracle here. As the coffee's brewing, I thought I'll make your day complete here. This is, of course, in our kitchen. For many, many years already we've had this. It's a granite countertop, nothing special about it, and granite backsplash. And the fellow that did it, a guy named Rocco, an Italian craftsman, what happened, he wanted to sell me these switch plate covers. There are 4 of them in the kitchen. And, of course, they make it with the scraps that are left over from the kitchen. And when he made it, he says, oh, I'm just going to add the cost of the switch plates to the job. And I said, well, how much are the switch plates? And he said, they're $200 each. I said, that's $800. Are you kidding me? So Karen, of course, being an artist that she is, she went, we bought these, they're just ordinary switch plates, and she painted them with her oil-based paint. And then we put the clear on top of them. And when Rocco came the following time, he came to do some other work for us, he says, I didn't sell you those switch plates. He was all upset. But look how nice they came out. So every morning when I have my coffee, I think, hey, Karen's crafts, all the stuff she does with her crafts and paintings, saved me enough money. I can buy another RD or something, or a cup of coffee. It really is a funny story about the granite and that guy Rocco, who Karen befriended, and they actually let me go to the shop where they were making it, and I watched them do a lot of the work and a lot of the polishing. If you ever watch how they polish granite, you could look it up on YouTube. They wouldn't let me, I don't think they would be crazy about me taking pictures there, but polishing granite is a real art, just like polishing paint. So I got my marching orders from the boss. She said I have about an hour and a half before Miles gets here. So I'm going to look, and I'm thinking, I didn't realize this until right now. I ought to finish this part, because then once I paint the back of that with the flat black, that part will be ready to install. I can start moving some of these parts out of here if I have to. But it's so cold out in that garage. To be honest, I'd rather be in here. And by the way, that buffed out beautifully. And I don't want to skimp anything on this. I'm still waiting to get some O-rings for these petcocks. Every part of this, I have just really taken my time, and it's paid. Now, as I always say, a lot of times it's the details, and a lot of times it's little details that make all the difference in the final result of a job. Boy, did that buff out nice. I'm not one to sit and oogle something all morning, but that really did come out nice. Now, the problem is, these are track day parts. These are not factory parts. So they're very thin. They're vulnerable. I've reinforced them, and if God forbid, if you've seen on some of the videos when this was new, there's no such word for what the condition these are in when I got them. But what I want to do is very carefully, I want to paint the whole back of this with water-based paint. Now, this is not lacquer-based paint. The reason I don't want to use lacquer-based paint or urethane, I don't want to, because I'm going to get right up to the edge. I want that to all be flat black. So when you look into the fairing, you don't see any reflection of anything. You would see this edge. Well, again, I don't know what you'd see, but I know you'd see something. So the advantage is I'm going to use this paint that I bought at Lowe's, Ultra Cover, Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover. The advantage of this, number one, is no smell, because we're going to have the baby here for most of the day. I could let this dry in the house. Number two, if I do happen to get some out on the fairing, I can just wipe it up with a Kleenex, a Q-tip, it won't even matter. So I've used this before. Karen's used it. It's really good quality stuff, and it leaves what I want, is a really flat black. I hate flat black. This is the ultimate flat black. It'll work great, and I want this to be the last step, because I wouldn't want to do this and be buffing and everything. I want that to be done, and then that part, for all purposes, be ready to install back on the motorcycle. And just for reference, that is Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover, and it's flat black. And Karen has used this on many craft projects, and this is really a good coverage, no smell to it. And for what we're doing now, what's another advantage is if I chip this or put a stone chip in it anywhere inside, I can just go get a brush and touch it up. Flat black you can touch up anytime. We were going to dinner with my daughter and the baby, and I had mentioned something to her about AOL, that I was having a problem with AOL, and she said, AOL? Only old people have AOL. Modern people don't have anything. You know, they would never use AOL. So I'm thinking, well, I looked in my address book and I said, oh my God, almost every one of my friends has an AOL account. But then I realized there's a reason. They're all old. I don't have any young friends. So that's the whole problem in a nutshell. But that is funny that the young people think, and my daughter I think is 44, they think I find that really funny. They think that if you have AOL, you must be old. Okay, so here's what I wanted to show is I want to get right up to the edge. I don't want to see that. But see, if any of this were to drip out onto the finish, it would ruin the finish. Believe me, it would be a problem. So the water base is allowing me the luxury of being like an aggressive, I don't know what you would call it, that if a little bit gets out there, or probably even could just buff it off with a little compound. And then the last step on this is going to be, before I actually take it out to the garage, is to put a really good coat of Flitz on it. I was real happy with the way I flitzed up all the motorcycles. There was a day in the fall when I was making I don't even remember, doing something that I felt like buffing, and I took the material and a bunch of microfibers and put Flitz on everything, and I said, let's see how this holds up over the winter. Well, we've had a brutal winter, and so far it's held up pretty good. So now I don't know if this is going to be the ultimate, but the last thing I'll be doing is the fairing where the headlights are. So this will give me a little chance to kind of see if I'm going to be happy with this, and if not, of course, just paint over it. You're really not going to see this, but that's the whole idea, is I don't want to see it. I don't want to look into, and there's a lot of spots on this bike where when you're driving it, you can look down into the fairing. But anyway, that I just wanted to show that. I'll do the rest of this off camera. This is like I always say, it's a detail. And when you skip details, you always pay. When you go the extra mile with the details, it always seems to show in the final product, and then you're always happy that you did them. So what I thought, the hardest part of this is to get the edge real nice. Now what I've been doing is I've just been wiping it with the glove, but I'm going to have to wait till it dries and get a microfiber with some of that polish and just go right around this edge. Because I don't, again, this is a little detail. Most people are not even going to see this. In fact, maybe I'm not even going to see it. But having that edge done, I thought that was the easiest way to make sure I get, well, because that'll be dry. Well, now I just can fill in like doing a jigsaw puzzle. One of the things, I just want to speed the drying up here because we're working on a time window. I wanted to see how this was going to look, and I wanted to do the edges possibly before the paint dried overnight or whatever. It'll just make getting those edges a little bit easier. And you think this wouldn't be a big problem to do, getting those edges nice? It takes time. Now this will just speed it up just a little bit. And I wanted to just see. Yeah, I'm skeptical if this is going to work like I planned. That paint is not really dry yet. Oh yeah, it comes right off. So now the paper towel, or you could use a rag with some microfiber, right? Microfiber. This has given me a perfect edge as long as I don't let the paint dry. If it's in that state where it's almost dry but not dry, that really worked out good. Who knew he was so smart? Wow. So let's see on the other side. Now I know from the past, I know what I've done this before, and it's not as easy as it looks. It looks real easy. Got a fingerprint there. To get these edges just perfect. And I know Luciano, the first thing he's going to do is look at the edge, because he's a real fuss budget about getting these details right. Aren't you, Luciano? Anyway, I guess whenever we do this, we're always thinking in the back of our mind, at least I am, maybe I'm not the only one, I'm always thinking, what's Vince going to think about that? What's Mark Morgan going to think about that? And then these people rule my life. I have no creativity left. I have to please them all. Actually, there is an element of truth in that, though. Anyway, that looks like it would have been a 5-minute thing to do, and it took the better part of an hour to get that done. And I really don't want to start any other big projects here. Again, it's a very short day. And whenever I have my grandson coming over here, I really don't want to infringe on his time. So now that the paint is totally dry, I have the buffer from yesterday, and what I thought I'd try to do here. I'm not sure this is going to work the way I want. And this is an edge you will absolutely see. And when the light runs across that, if it's got defects in it, you'll definitely see them. Now, I didn't put any compound on there. I still have the compound from yesterday. I didn't want to start rebuffing this. All I wanted to do is, I wanted to get that edge as nice as possible. Oh man, this really came out nice. But anyway, and I think it was yesterday we worked on this and put the final polish. Took it out in the bright sun. Well, if you only could see this in real life in the bright sun, it is really spectacular. Now here's one other thing I wanted to do while I have the rag out. The edge, see, if I was doing this with urethane or some other kind of paint, I wouldn't be able to just do these wipes. I'd be eating into the clear. And that's why I thought this would be a good thing to show on the video, because to me, it looks really cheesy when you see a beautiful, I can't even think of a bike that I've restored that there's no way it's all covered in. You always can look down and see some part of it. So if the hour that you spend doing this, or hour and a half, it really pays. It puts the final touch on it. Now, I have had nothing but good luck with Flitz. I really am happy with it. There's only one problem. A lot of people misunderstand when they see the Flitz advertisements, the ones that Flitz makes, not the ones people that are reviewing the product make. They get the impression this is rubbing compound. It's not rubbing compound. You cannot do with this what you do with rubbing compound, but here's what you can do. And this I know works great because I did it in the fall. Get rid of this pad. Pretty much done with this now, and we do the next part, we'll get a new one on there. Get a new pad on. And by the way, they make the sponges that they make for the big buffers, rough, medium, and soft. This works great with the soft one. And here, that's probably the baby coming now. But I want to do one little experiment before we go. Take a little bit of this, This is just an experiment, because what's going to happen is, in fact, I'll put a little more. You really don't need a lot of this stuff, but once you get the pad full of it, it seems like it's good. I have paint that's aged, it's cured, it's buffed, it's actually ready to put back on a motorcycle. Now the only problem is, I want to protect it. I don't want to have that if it sits out in the garage for a month or 2 months or so, or whatever, I don't want to have it that I go out there and there's all that slime on it. This protects it. This is really just for my own benefit. It's actually, I'm overdoing this, in fact. I really don't have to do this yet. I was going to wait, but I do have a few minutes here, about 15 minutes, and I wanted to see if this is going to be the way I expect it to be, or hope it'll be, should be the case. And then I'll have, you know, a good idea of how this is going to go in the future. Now, I don't expect this is going to increase the shine that much, if anything. This is really 6,000 grit, if you can imagine. So Flitz itself, it's not by law, it's not legal for them to sell this and claim it's a polish. It's not a polish. It's a protectant. And certain things like, and I did the minivan when I first got this. I took the big buffer, went over the whole minivan, and it lasted. I mean, all summer I would just look at it and be amazed. And actually the paint is, 10-year-old car is still pretty good, because once a year or so I do buff it out. And I have found this little buffer, you can buff out a whole car, it just takes a little time. Now I'm just going to use this until it starts, we've used up the compound. Let me get a clean, I need some clean microfibers, better go do a load of laundry here. Now there was always a test I did, and you really can't see this kind of stuff on video, but I can see it in real life under fluorescent lights. I can see at a very fine level that that's a little bit shinier than where I didn't do it. So it's really easy in this case, since I'm going to do this part anyway, and I'm just going to put it aside. It's protected, it's ready to go back on the motorcycle. This would actually be a good filler project. But I do have to, the reason I haven't done it yet is I have to take the front wheel off to paint the wheels. Haven't decided. Karen told me I'm crazy making them gold. I should make them black, so I may have to reorganize that. I've been hearing from a few friends who have all said, go with the gold, oh, gold. Yeah. And even at one night before I was going to sleep, I was dreaming of yellow wheels with a gold stripe, with a black stripe. But it just shows you about insanity. But anyway, that's the fun of a restoration. You can kind of play, you can have fun. It's like being an artist, you can just put a tree in the scene or whatever. So we're ready to put this back on a motorcycle now, and absolutely the Flitz made it a very slightly amount shinier, glossier. And also, I know now, and I'll do the details. I got to get in here by hand. I'll do the details. But the real objective is to get this protect for the whole summer, the UV protection, everything. So this is going to stay nice and shiny through the whole riding season. Now, here's some information you probably, you probably know, but I'll just confirm what I did. A little research on this. When you buy microfibers are part of my life. And this is the information that I've always thought was important. I went, and I think it was Ammo NYC, one of the top guys that knows about finishing, and he does Ferraris and Porsches and stuff. But he explained about microfibers, and they have a detailed thing. I don't need to know all the details. What I need to know is these are these real fluffy, fuzzy microfibers. The ones you get at Harbor Freight, not so good. Use those for doing dishes. But these, and to be honest, the guy that brought these over was Dale. I had done a little repair for Dale, and he brought me as a Christmas present. These are Kirkland, and they come in a pack. I think there were 20 or 50 of them. Who the hell knows? But these have proven to be really, really good. And what happens when I wash them? They come clean. They really, you can even smell it. They don't hold the wax or the residue or whatever. Now, I have a whole, I probably legitimately have 300 or 400 of these. What I do when I get about 100 that are dirty, put them in a laundry. Just do a normal load of laundry. I put 2 times the amount of laundry detergent. And what I'll usually do is then take them and put them in the dryer. But never put these in with a towel. This is a towel. They will just contaminate each other. Microfibers get washed totally separately. And there's a grade you could look at out on the internet, and it tells you. And I don't need to know that information so I don't fill up my brain. It's like I could tell just by touching. These are nice and fluffy. And then there's a grade above this that they were about 10 bucks a piece, and I bought 2 of them one time. And they have proven so good. Another trick with microfibers, I've seen this on the internet, I'm just passing it on. If you have that inside the windshield where it looks smoky and foggy, and no matter how many times you use Windex, it's got that slime on it, you take a brand new microfiber or one that just came out of the laundry and be real careful, wipe it down, you'll see it's way better than Windex. Anyway, good little microfiber information here. Here's another little tip if you're doing microfibers. This is a separate load. And when I see I have ones that have a lot of grease on them, because we do a lot of dirty work in the shop too, as well as polishing. A good way to do this, if you're really fussy, is you can separate the really dirty ones and add some simple green. But the ones that are relatively clean, you can do them separate, but you know what? I'd stop doing that. I just put simple green in with everything. Do a load with super hot water. Put them in a dryer. And the next day, an hour later or so, you have a nice, you back to, this would be enough for, well, who knows. In my case, you never know. But anyway, keeping them clean. Once you have that finish, if you don't take care of it, it's useless. This is a good way to do it. Just do the load every once in a while and you're done with it. So here's the settings I use. Always hot, super hot. And I always put, I don't know if all these machines are the same. This is on like a heavy duty cycle. And there's all our microfibers. And an hour from now, we'll be in great shape. That is good information, by the way. Whether you have a custom car, a motorcycle, or Karen even uses these. And thank you, Dale, for that generous contribution of microfibers. We've used every one of them. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video and enjoy just watching us work in the shop, watching us do the laundry. How cool is that? Anyway, we always try to pass on some quality information, whether we find it on YouTube or we do our own little investigation. And thanks for watching. Hey! What do you got, Miles? Wow! What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Let me see what you got.
He wanted to show you.
Wow, you're going to be able to go to YouTube videos now.
Your hair. Had hair.
What happened to your hair, Miles? You look a little fuzzy.
He's got head. It's okay.
So, are you going to be watching all of my videos on this little iPad now, or you're not interested in my videos? You could be famous, you know. You could watch every one.
Okay, so
You would rather watch Legos. You sure you don't want me to take a picture of you?
Sure.
What is this going to be?
Interesting. What do I be?
How's that coffee, Miles? You don't have to eat the cup, you know. That's enough. What, your nose stuck in the cup?
you swallow it.
You want more coffee?
No more coffee. What?
Vodka.
Napkin. Oh.
Vodka.